An idea born out of Monday morning chats at the coffee machine. In this series, we chat to our guests about their going out experiences and how it shaped them.
Join us, Pippa
and Georgia,
team members at Skiddle who love going out and miss chatting about it. Welcome to the Going Out podcast with Skiddle. This is episode 3.
And today we were joined by Lala, a DJ and curator hailing from Glasgow. We had an amazing long chat with her, touching on a few different areas, didn't we really? Like boiler room sets, growing up in Glasgow, horoscopes.
Ibiza.
Ibiza. So enjoy the episode.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Hi!
Lala, DJ, promoter, curator, originally from Scotland, did a bit in London that we talked about just before we hit record on this podcast. So I thought we could kick off. This obviously podcast is all about talking about going out experiences and how we're shaped by them. And you're obviously from Glasgow, aren't you, originally? And I just thought we could kick off talking about what your first nights out in Glasgow were like and how that kind of compares to London. Obviously, there's loads of differences between London and Glasgow, but it would be cool to hear from you firsthand what you think the major differences are.
Well, I mean, it's like small fish, big pond would be like the first. I mean, I'm from Glasgow. I think that you'll probably be able to pick that up from the interview. Which is funny because in Glasgow, I would say, I mean, I kind of dip into 2 different accents depending on who my company is. Unfortunately, you know, you have like a tail, like because I wouldn't really.
And when you drink as well, I have a different accent when I drink as well.
So I find myself having 2 different accents and really not intentionally. But basically, my first experience was in the Archies, which is a club. Unfortunately, it's no longer a thing. It got closed down. Because I don't know, and maybe through this conversation you'll realise I am into conspiracy theories and they're not all conspiracies, right?
Oh, juicy.
We've not touched on conspiracies yet, but I definitely would like to.
Yeah.
Well, this is my take on it. My take is that the Marriott Hotel put in a bid to open a hotel around the corner from the club, and the government used it as an excuse to close the club and make money from property developers, much like they're doing now.
Yeah. We hear a lot about that, don't we?
Yeah, even like Kitchen Street in Liverpool, something similar is happening there.
Yeah. I mean, it's happening everywhere. It's right under our noses, right? Yeah. So unfortunately that happened, but that was the first club that I went to, and what an introduction. It was like, it's like a club underneath Glasgow Central Station, so it's like proper like warehouse industrial. If you were in early enough, sometimes you'd hear like the train go over whilst there was like pumping techno coming out the speakers, and you're like, oh my god, I'm that high that my body's vibrating. It's like, no, that's just the train. It's just the train. So that was, and it's definitely shaped like everything for me.
Who were you seeing there out of interest? Who were you going to see?
What's that?
Who were you going to see back in the day?
Oh my god. So I started on hardstyle. So like GABA and like proper like hard house. I was 14.
Oh.
So I went off the rails really early. Like I was really, really young and just a tearaway. I felt like the world owed me a favour. I had a chip on my shoulder, you know. I wasn't a brat. I'd just like gone through things that I couldn't metabolize. So like, you know, I don't know if it was just growing up in Glasgow and then all of these things being readily available. It's funny, I get ID'd more now than I did then.
I was going to say, did you have like a fake ID, or like did you just borrow? Were you like one of them that you borrowed an ID?
Well, yeah, I borrowed IDs and I was like, so this was like the thing, right? So the Archies, I got really friendly with the bouncers, which is obviously what you do as a young girl. Like, you just get in with the bouncers,
that's the key, that's the secret.
Man, I was 16, rocking up to the front of the queue and all that. Like, everybody in my school that are like 4 years above me being like, who the fuck? How does she like just anyway? So I just turned 18 at this time, and there was like 2 head bouncers that were my mates, Ross, and I forget the other guy's name, Ian maybe. And they were like, because everyone called me La, right? So that kind of touches into like Lala. My name is Lauren Andrew. So when I was 14, it all happened when I was 14.
Big year.
Big year, huge year. Got my first tattoo.
Oh, wow.
Of my own initials on my stomach, because I got my tongue pierced that day. And I said to the guy, I was like, can I get a tattoo? Thinking that he would be like, listen, you are chancing your arm getting that tongue pierced, and never mind a tattoo. Because you had to be 16 to get your tongue pierced, but then 18 to get a tattoo. So anyway, he was like, yeah, darling, what do you want? I was like, my own.
I didn't expect you to say yes.
my own initials on my stomach. That would probably make sense. So got that, and then everyone just started calling me La, which helped at the Archies because I was a different person every week.
Yeah.
So they all just knew me as La as well. So I Ross, or whatever the guy's name is, was, sorry if you're listening. I really, really don't think that he will be. But yeah, he was like, let's see your ID. And I was like, listen, you don't want to do that. And he was like, nah, we know you're young. It's fine. I was like, no, I've only just turned 18. I've known you. He's like, how long have we known we La? I was like, no, like, don't get into this topic. He was like, about 5 years? I was like, no, it's definitely 4. It's 4. It's 4. I know it's 4. And then I showed them my passport, and they were just like, oh my God, we have known you for 4 full years. You've just turned 18. I was like, I know, but nothing happened. And I know you could have lost your license, but it didn't happen, so I'm sorry.
Fair play that they were like, yeah, we've known you for ages, but you're finally 18. Like,
yeah, good job you were 18 at that time.
I feel like you got a good outcome out of that. Like they were just like, totally. Come in again, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, totally. Well, you're 18 now, so anyway.
Yeah.
But then how it compared to London, I mean, I didn't really get to experience London, to be honest.
Yeah.
I went to Honey Dijon, and me have the same team.
Yeah.
How mad is that?
That's a good sentence, isn't it, to say out loud?
I'm like, yeah, but like we've got the same manager and agent, so she was launching Honey Dijon, yeah, and she did a night, and then Naomi Campbell strolls in. I was like, oh my God!
Wow.
It was me and Absolute went, Anthony.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh my God, legit, that's Naomi Campbell. And she came in full sunglasses as well. Like, it was amazing.
Wow,
that is it.
And after that, a couple of weeks before, I had played Fly Open Air, which is obviously where I did my Boiler Room. But they do 2 different festivals in 2 different locations every year. So this one's underneath Edinburgh Castle, and that is the kind of, like, that was the most mental, like, experience for me, like, I think maybe ever, in the sense of, like, I felt such a change in, like, how I was being received. Like, bear in mind, I had played to these people for 7 years at this point every week, but it kind of took for, like, other people to say, oh, no, she's good, or we back her, or we'll sign her, for everyone to be like, oh, right.
Yeah.
We've seen you, we know you. And it just, like, do you know what it was? It was like women. Yeah. It was women came up to me, like, it was the first gig my mum ever went to, and it was a total fluke, because I think that she thought this is what happened to me all the time, because I stopped playing and all of these people were like, Lala, can we get a photo? And my mum must have taken, like, because I went out into the crowd like I always do, and nothing like that had ever happened before. So my mum's like, and people are just like, take a photo of me, Lala. And I'm like, that's my mum.
Oh,
but she was like, oh my my God, this is amazing. But it had never happened before, that gig. Like, that gig was like, oh my God, this, like, you know, women support me. Like, which took so... it's just such a funny topic, and I don't know if you want to dive into it, because I don't want to say too much, because I've got opinions about it. I just think, like, as much as, like, we have this, like, inclusive, like, what could be this, like, no bigotry, no, like, discrimination space, like, free, awesome, amazing space, it just isn't always like that, as much as it's because
what's your experience of that as, like, a woman DJ? Like,
well, I feel on the outside of everything, because, like, in my scene particularly, like, I think if I didn't wear makeup and I, like, dressed a little bit more like a bot, like, I don't even know, like, what, like, the expectation is, or, like, what people, like, would be more accepting of. But my experience was, the assumption is that, oh, she's somebody's girlfriend, or she shagged somebody, or, like, do you know, like, that. It was always that treatment. And, like, even when I ran Subclub, man, I was paying those DJs, like, fees. I was in touch with the agent. I picked them up from the airport. Like, it was still, if Subclub had something to ask me, my business partner, it would be him that would be asked, not me.
Yeah.
Even though the money was coming from my bank account, like, it doesn't matter. Like, and I think the fact that I used to model, which has been a bit of a funny one, because I gave up so long ago. I mean, I was like 21, I think my last shoot, like, paid job was.
Yeah.
But I knew from the jump, because I've grown up in this scene, how much harder it would maybe be for me to shake that.
Yeah.
And become or to be taken seriously as, like, underground DJ. So I think the assumption is that it helps you, or somebody's, like, you know, shagged you and then given you your career. Man, even when I played Circoloco, which for me was, like, that was my dream from the word go. Like, I just never, ever in my life thought I would be playing at DC10. Like, in the main room, 2 people before Carl Craig, like, what the hell? It was me, Sylvie Lotto, then Carl Craig. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it was, like, 11 o'clock at night, New Year's Day. Like, it was just the most insane experience. And then Antonio, that runs Circoloco, man, like, it's been going for, like, 23 years or something. Like, it's, like, history. Yeah. Like, that place and what they've created there, and the longevity and how respected it is. But he didn't speak to me before. It's him and another man. I forget his name. Maybe you can cut this bit out so I don't get into trouble. But he was so welcoming, and, like, rolled me a joint, like, as soon as I got there, and he was just like really warm. Whereas Antonio, like, it was almost like, I don't know if this is intentional, but I kind of had to play first before he was gonna say hi and welcome.
Yeah.
So he was, like, behind me when I was playing, and then after we had this amazing conversation. So whenever I imagine his presence is kind of respected there backstage and stuff, and, like, people watch who he's talking to or whatever. So they saw that Antonio had been speaking to me for, like, a length of time, and they came up and they were like, "Oh my God, you go out with the head bouncer." And I was just like, of course I do. Like, of course I couldn't be a DJ. Yes. Like, of course I just have, even right now, I have to be somebody's girlfriend. Like,
that's
it's
ridiculous.
It's annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah. Especially like having to deal with that on an ongoing basis when you're trying to prove yourself, but you have to, like, work extra hard. Like, what do you think, like, needs to change? Like, is it attitudes more, or
so much? Well, I think if we're going to call it an inclusive place, then it can't have any barriers. Like, I think that the people that are from any walk of life need to be included. You can't want this inclusivity but then exclude people yourself. I think that, like, it would help if women, like, for me, my whole thing is everybody can eat, everybody can win. Like, it doesn't have to be this, like, man, like, like, and I think it still is with women. And it's like, if you don't, you know, fit into what they consider to be underground, and, like, you have to look like this to have taken music seriously, it's like, that's not inclusive. That's not Like, that's not being a feminist. Like, that's not whatever, or supportive of women. Or, by the way, I'm so sick of talking about it. Like, I'm so sick of thinking about it. I get stressed. Like, I've got boobs and, like, you know, it's like I have to cover them up. And, like, I know I don't have to, but, like, if I show them, I feel like I'm being too sexual. If I don't, I feel like I'm conforming to what people... It's like this constant push-pull of, like, trying to find a happy medium. I think basically in lockdown, I've just learned to like myself a little bit more. So I kind of care less about stuff like that. But I'm still very aware of how much it's affected me up until now. But I think with all of the things that we're now able to do, and like the position that I'm now in, like having this weekly show and like, you know, all of these amazing things, I'm getting more confident and able to speak about things like this. And I just hope it will be received in a way that's not like, I don't think I'm anything. Like, it's not me saying, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Like, it's not. It's like, I wear makeup, I have boobs. Sometimes I like to look like a girl. Sometimes I'm just a single young girl just wanting to, do you know what I mean? But that's okay. Like, who cares? I'm still a DJ. Like,
it seems to just be so much for you to think about compared to like a male DJ would just not even have to think about what they're wearing, how they're coming across.
Like, see, for Boiler Room, because I knew that was coming, like, I manifested that into my life. Like, I knew that was the thing that was the only thing that was ever going to help me get out of Scotland. Like, I knew it. I don't know why. And I was actually at a point where I was like ready to quit. Like, I don't think people realize, like, when you promote, when you like have a full-time job as well, and you play like 4 gigs a week for 7 years, like, I didn't have a life. Like, I hardly saw my friends. I didn't have a love life because I didn't have time to have a love life. Like, all of my time was put into like searching for tunes, improving, like watching interviews of like people that were more knowledgeable of me, like trying to figure out my own shit, like of what was going on in my life at the time. Like, man, through my musical journey, it's been like there's been some real like hardships that like have come up for me. Like, my mum's sister was murdered in Glasgow 5 years ago. So it was like about 2.5 years into me playing, and man, like this random guy, like completely not related to any of us, nobody knew him, never met him, released early from jail, 1 month out, broke into our house in the middle of the night and stabbed her 37 times. Like she was like my second mum. So like, it's like certain things like that, it's like I've kind of had to like been figuring all of this out whilst holding on to like all of these jobs and all of these spinning plates, you know, just continuously trying to like prove yourself when you've got your own demons and heavy stuff to deal with yourself. So I think that like any added pressure on that, never mind whether it's like it's to do with like vanity, like I'm probably way more insecure than anyone would ever assume, like in who I am and how I look. I don't think I'm anything. I just don't want it to be about that anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm hard on myself as it is. I don't want to be thinking about like, see if putting on a bit of bronzer and like a high neck fitted top makes me feel good while I'm playing and I'm comfortable. That's all. Like, why are we talking about it? Why am I thinking about it? You know?
But even talking about it in this way, I think will go a long way towards like younger girls who are wanting to get in the industry, who are also feeling those same pressures. I think, you know,
100%.
We're kind of sick of talking about it, but they need to hear that you feel the same too. And I think, definitely.
But like also that there's this new like movement. Like I feel like, you know, because I'm still so new. Like even though I've been playing for so long, like I'm so just like not even like broken through yet. But like just to even know that there's like women who are ready to support, like, and like really, like it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter where you're from. See if you're passionate and like you really work your ass off, people will help you. And I am one of them. Like if you are a woman, if like my DMs are always open and people can vouch for me. I do supply as much as I can. I've not even got that big a platform, but I think that that's all I hope by speaking about things like this or anything in general, is just to like to take away this kind of like hierarchy and like harshness, because I've just like shagged my way somewhere. That is still like the attitude that I get from some people in Scotland, and I think that that's wrong.
Yeah.
But just being like, because I would hate for, because I think like not knowing and then experiencing it and thinking it's all rainbows and like, you know, butterflies, and like it's not, but there are good people, and there are people that will help you and welcome you with, or just give you a chance, you know, and I think that's all people need. I would have progressed a lot quicker, I think, if I was in this like safe environment that I was encouraged instead of like taken down or judged constantly. Like people would turn up to fly to see if I was playing a pre-recorded set, and they would all gather round the decks and like peer in and watch. And it's like, that is not, you're never going to excel, and you're never going to like become better in that environment when you're just like trying to survive. Like I didn't learn anything the first 4 years because of that, you know, and that's 4 years going into work every weekend, like every single week, feeling like that. That is no way to learn. So I think just knowing that it's not actually all like that anymore, and there is like that open conversation and really, really amazing, like Jaguar, like she is just like a movement in her set, like all the topics she's talking about. I like the I don't know if you guys heard it. If you didn't, you should definitely listen. Like she talked to a bunch of other females in the industry about Eric Murillo and all of those kind of like, look, the thing that I mentioned earlier, and I'm like panicking, like it's like I don't have the confidence to talk about stuff like that yet, because it's like I still want a job. Yeah. But like, how wrong is that? Yeah. But like you can't actually just like express how you feel without being scared about rocking the boat too much.
Yeah. Who are the people that have supported you then, or people that you've looked up to since the beginning of your career?
Oh, there's so many, man. Like I have had incredible support this year. Like I cannot, like Kink started following me the other day and messaged me. Kink messaged me. I was literally like I cannot believe. DJ Seinfeld was Seinfeld was one of the first people. Yeah. As soon as Boiler Room went up. Yeah. Who reached out and has supported me. Plastician. Yeah. One Man, Genius, like giving me and supporting me in the way that he has, like by giving me that opportunity, is like, guys, that happened 4 weeks before lockdown. Yeah. Like I now have this weekly show that is basically me, Ben UFO and Joshua James are the only people on Rinse that have a weekly show. Wow. And Hessel was born out of Rinse. So it's like I didn't have a monthly show before that. They just like Genius just reached out to me when I'd moved to London. I'd done a couple of Ballamy radio shows, and that's kind of where Plastician and One Man, like apparently they were on like the live chat being like, yeah, she's killing it. And then that's kind of when people like started taking me seriously, like seeing people like that saying, yeah, she's good. And then so I don't know how he found me or whatever, but he just DM'd me and was like, hey, I know that you were on Big Mizzy's show, but do you want to come in and do your own show? And I was like, yes, sounds. And he was like, do you want to meet for a coffee before? And I was like, because I screenshotted it to my agent, Jim. Do you guys know, like, anyone at, do you know Jim O'Regan? No. Oh my God, I have landed on my feet with this. See, honestly, I cannot tell you, like, Jim O'Regan is the Don. Like, he is like the best, one of the best people I've ever spoken to. So transparent. Like, he took over from this guy called Sandy, who retired from the industry, but he had like the biggest roster, like Silk Up, Black Madonna, Honey Dijon, like all of these, like I can't even, like, it's like an insane like list. I don't know everyone off by heart, but Jim had taken over a couple of months earlier earlier to this and joined Coda. It was then, and then it turned into Paradigm. Paradigm always owned Coda, but nobody really knew, so they just decided to like make it all one thing. I think it was like because, I don't know if you saw, like Coachella did this like diagram of like WME like artists and then Paradigm artists. So I don't know if they were just like trying to flex and like because right. What was meant to be Coachella this year, Paradigm were like the biggest agency in the world now. So I don't know if that has like, if it was like a competitive thing or whatever, like, okay, now we're ready to take over. But like it was like the most insane thing. Like, why would you want to sign me when you have all of these people like who are like I just didn't get it. Where like he found Leon Vinyl. Like before, like he discovered Leon Vinyl like before, and I'm like, oh, I don't get it. What do you see in me? Like
he obviously keeps his ear to the ground, you know, and is like wanting to support.
I know, but how amazing is that?
Yeah, incredible.
But that and it was the first, because he doesn't need to do that. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't need to do that in any capacity. Like he's signing people like Scream now to Paradigm and like Ketaman. Yeah. Like, do you know, like that's who he works with now. And then there's just little me in there. Like, it's insane. But yeah, I don't know. I think that warmth that he made me feel when we met is definitely something that like starting a label and like doing all of the things that like I'm trying to do like just now, like I can't lie that this year has kind of obviously been quite debilitating in every sense, like in a creative sense and a motivation. I was just like, is it too early for me to be knocked out of this? Like, is it like, am I still going to have something to go back to? Because it just started, you know? And I felt like all of the stuff that was going to happen this year would have really cemented like what would have happened after. Like I was playing at Glaswegian and I had a residency in Italy. I was playing like 12 weeks in this club called Circoloco, which is like, it looks like the Louvre in Paris. Wow. It's like a glass pyramid, and like Sven Vath and all that like used to be residents. So like it would have like, see if you speak to Italian people and you're like Circoloco, they're like, oh my god, like it's like fabric, like and that's like kind of like, which is, by the way, this will happen in this conversation. I will finish like whatever I started. Takes me back to the Honey Dijon topic when Naomi Campbell walked in. No, at Fly Open Air that year, I met oh my god, I've totally forgotten his name. Now he owns Soma, Dave Clark, that owns Soma Records. Soma Records is a Glasgow-based label. Yeah, they signed Daft Punk's first album. Wow. Like, but then they've gone on to like do the Slam Tent at Theme Park. They like do Pressure at the Archies, which is obviously now no longer like a thing. Yeah. But they do Riverside Festival. Like they're all over, and they look after like Slam, and they have a school, and they're just wicked. So Dave Clark used to come down on a Sunday night to Sub Club, and we'd have a whiskey, and he still never bloody gave me a gig for 4 years, even though he came down and knew I was running that night. He still never gave me a gig for 4 years. He was like, lad, we're actually going to Fabric in a couple of weeks. Slammer playing the 25th birthday with like Midlands and blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, I've never been to Fabric, and he was like, what? You've never been to Fabric? Like, well, come with us. So I turn up at the Standard Hotel to meet Dave Clark and all of like the guy that designed the Standard Hotel, which was actually another Scottish person. I'll just add that in there. So we then, of course, we all headed to Fabric. But can I tell you, like, I watch interviews for fun because I think like it helps me understand myself a little bit better sometimes when people explain, even if like I can't relate, it helps me having an opposing opinion about whatever they're saying. But I was watching the Midlands Between the Beats on Investment Advisor, and like I knew his name was Harry, and I knew like what his husband looked like from this documentary. So we're backstage, and Midland walks in, and I'm like, do I call him Harry, or do I call him Midland, or do I call him Sir, or do I bow, or like I'm like, I need to go home. And I just left. I just left. So I was like, I cannot handle this conversation.
I think I would have been like, I love Play It As It Lays. I'm such a fan.
Do you know in the documentary when people were coming up to me being like, oh, that's it. He's just like,
play that song, and he's like, I don't want to play that song.
I know. I was just like, I'm just going to fully have my spit in my mouth here, so I'm just going to leave before I do that.
Before I say anything.
So when did you start getting into DJing? And then I know we've kind of surpassed that point, but what is it that got you into it? Because obviously you've seen both sides of the coin, being a promoter, booking artists, going to pick them up from airports and all sorts.
Yeah.
But what is it that actually got you into DJing? And what was your inspiration?
I think like what we were saying, my first experiences of going out. I know that house music has become popular over the last kind of couple of years, and it's now like become this huge industry. But when I was first getting into it, now I'm 28, guys. It's been 14 years, of me seeing how the industry has changed. My taste has developed. Things have, but one thing that's kind of always been the case, even though it wasn't popular, it was in the space that I was in, was the DJ was a pinnacle thing. It was like they were like controlling, this night. They were creating this environment, which then kind of carried over to create memories for people, and I just looked up to these people. I remember even when I was 14, when I was first exposed to it, just being in awe of like how people could have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
And plus, I was always very secretive about my music. Like, I hated, like, my dad and my family will talk about, like, me being younger and, like, knowing the words to every song, like, straight off the bat. But, like, I didn't like to share anything.
Yeah.
So, like, my music collection, my CDs, I used to line up at HMV when I was younger, like, to get, like, but it was a secret. Like, I didn't want to share it. So, like, it was, like, the confidence thing. It was, like, having, like, the knowledge or, like, backing your taste, like, and being able to like apply that to like all those people. It just inspired me from like, I think before I even knew it. And I first got the balls to buy decks about, I think I was 20. So I must have been 19. So yeah, 9 years ago, I bought decks from Rub-a-Dub in Glasgow, which takes about 6 months of talking yourself into to be able to even go into that shop.
Yeah.
Like it's like an institution. Yeah. Like so Jack Master, they all kind of came from Rub-a-Dub and kind of were taught what they then did what they did with.
Did you get proper decks or did you get
Yeah, I got decks.
Yeah.
I had been modelling for years. I've got signs when I was really, really young. I was 17 and in Australia, weirdly, and then came back to Scotland and I'm 5'6.5". I wasn't a problem in Australia and I didn't ever want to do it. I was meant to do like a law degree. Like I didn't want to be a model, but because I was told no when I got home, like I went to Model Team, which was like the biggest agency in Scotland basically, and they were like, oh no, like I was like, but I shot for the Australian Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, like, wow. Are you sure? And they were like, no, you're too small. And I was like, but okay. But it then gave me like, it became not like this vanity thing. It became like, okay, I'm going to fucking prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Which I did. And I got signed by them a year later. And then, I worked. So I could afford to buy them at the time. Yeah. But I then didn't think, I think I bought them because that was like the first stage. But I didn't actually expect for, what to transpire. What transpired to actually happen, because the day that I bought the decks, I had these Rub-a-Dub bags and I bumped into like this promoter, but from commercial clubs, like not like the Archies or Sub Club or Berkeley Suite or any of the other underground clubs in Glasgow. It was like very commercial, like student nights and stuff. So this guy called John Blaine, like hail John Blaine for giving me my first gig. Oh my God, you are the Don forever. But he gave me my first gig. He met me that day, was like, what the hell were you doing in Rub-a-Dub? And I was like, I'm going to teach myself how to DJ. And a year later, he phoned me and was like, okay, I've got you a gig. Friday night, 5 hours. Are you ready?
Wow.
And I was like, no, but I'll do it.
And how was that? What was your first one like?
Oh my God, I was shitting. So many people turned up as well. Like, just to obviously see, like, what, like, this is going to be like.
Yeah.
I got through it. But it wasn't, it was enough. We're a long way from there, let's just say that.
Well, everyone's got to start somewhere, haven't
exactly.
they?
But like that, but that's the thing, that's the difference.
I reckon
It's like,
the first one's the hardest as well for you.
But it's like about having the balls to embarrass yourself, because like, you're not gonna like, even if you have been playing in your bedroom forever, right? There's a big difference between getting up in front of people and people being there in front of you than being in this safe environment where you can make mistakes and you can do it better next time because you've learned something. Like, that was me on the job. So maybe that's why I was so self-conscious, because I really knew how shit I was when I first started. But like, I just kept going. I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm not, because if I stop, I'll never be able to start again. So I'll just keep going.
Yeah. And then did you get, what were the crowds like in there? What were they just letting you play whatever you wanted, or were they like coming up to you asking for songs?
Oh my God. Do you know, this is funny. So when I was playing at Cabaret Voltaire, which is where, so Fly Open Air is the biggest festival in Scotland now. All underground, like it was like Seth Troxler, Peggy Goo, like Nina Kravitz, Colonel Kovacs, Follamore. Like, it was like amazing what they've done. But like, they are a weekly night in Edinburgh. Which is, I've been with them from their beginning, and I've obviously been a resident for basically the whole time that I've played. I think I got my first gig at Fly the year after I started, which then transpired into a 7-year residency with them.
Yeah, wow.
But Cabaret Voltaire is like a cave. Like, oh, I've got so many stories, man. But I'll stick to this one. So, fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. So, basically, they've got an upstairs and a downstairs, and downstairs is like the main room and room 2, and upstairs is the cafe, which is like, see if you can get the cafe going, like, you're a DJ, right? Because it's got one speaker. Like, you're working off of one fucking speaker, and it's just not really the patter. But like, if you can get people dancing in that little space, the vibe is insane. And I've had it a few times. It's just like no other. People slag it, but like, I love it. Oh. It's where I learned, you know, because it's like, there's nothing to hide behind, like nothing. Yeah. No bells and whistles, nothing. So, this girl came up to me and was trying to. Oh, sorry. No. Sorry. This girl came up to me and she was like, can you play such and such? And I was like, I actually don't really take requests, guys. Just trust me, because I've been doing this a long time. And she walked away, right? And then walked back up very slowly, looking me in the eyes, and pulled all of my phono cables like out of the back of the CDJ.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God. So the music stopped, obviously. Yeah. And then I saw her boyfriend kind of coming back in, and he, after me put the music back on, he then did the same.
I thought you were going to say he was embarrassed.
How? Well, that's what I assumed.
Oh,
so
my God.
I was like preparing my face for being like, no, don't worry, it's fine. And he just did the same. He just pulled them out as well.
That's outrageous.
So bad.
I can't believe that. You got something playing.
So many worse things have happened, honestly. Like at New Year, oh my God, Caval decided to create a new green room, like up the stairs, where the control room for the whole nightclub is, where there's exposed equipment with people at New Year.
Oh dear.
So I'm playing the bells in the main room. I'm playing Circoloco the next day. It's my first gig outside of the UK, and I'm playing Circoloco the next day. I'm so fucking nervous, and anyway, think this is going to be a breeze because I've played in this club my whole career. No, turn up in the main room, 10 minutes till the bells, and all of the music in the main room cuts out. None of the speakers are on, but all of the speakers everywhere else throughout the club are on. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. So everyone was running about for 25 minutes until they figured out that somebody in the green room had fallen into the exposed bit of kit and turned off only my speakers in the main room for 25 minutes.
Oh no.
During the bells.
Oh God.
See, sometimes during my Q&As, like on Instagram, like people will message me being like, what was the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Was it that time at Cat Ball when the music turned off and the bells? I'm like, actually, yeah.
Yeah, definitely top 3.
What, and the people that messaged you were people that were there?
We're there.
Yeah,
they were like, we travelled down from Aberdeen to see you, and then we didn't actually get to see you, so hopefully next time we can actually see you play. I'm like,
oh gosh. And when you speak of like Circoloco, that being your first gig in Ibiza, what if
No, it was my first gig outside the UK.
Oh wow. So like, have you experienced Ibiza prior to that? Yeah.
So I mentioned obviously that like the tragedy that happens to my family. What I did, because she was like my second mum, like she was like the person that kind of pulled me out of that tearaway like childlike mind into being a woman. But yeah, I didn't really know how to handle it. Obviously, at the start, she was like the front cover of every newspaper. It was like on the 6 o'clock news. It was awful. It was such an awful experience. And I was in Edinburgh at the time when it happened, and I got told the next day. And then on the way back, they announced it on the news, but they had to wait until I knew, right? But by the time we travelled an hour back from Edinburgh, there was journalists at my grand's door. Like, even though they didn't have the same name or like, it was just the most... So during that time, I didn't know how to handle it. And I was like, I'm just going to go to Ibiza for a couple of weeks. One of my friends lived out there and had like a spare room. So I just decided to go out and get away, but I was like very conscious of like not going out, like, and because I wouldn't have been able to handle that, like being hungover and then like all of the, because we didn't know what happened until the trial. So you've just got like the months of grey area. So I was very, very conscious of that. But it was amazing because I ended up spending the whole summer there. I lived in Ibiza Old Town.
Wow.
Lush.
In this place called Figueretas, which is, if you know where S.V.V. is, which is like Jamie Jones started his like club nights in this little underground like hotel bunker kind of thing. I lived 2 streets down from that. Which is actually hilarious because I actually signed with a modelling agency when I lived there just to feel like I had, even though I wasn't working, that I had some kind of option of working. I actually DJ'd at Hideout that summer, which is funny.
Wow.
Not as Lala. I think I was still Lord and Andrew. But I played for Fly there. And I signed with an agency, and the first gig that I got, like modelling job, was when I actually moved home to Scotland, and it was for Spanish Glamour, like Glamour magazine, like not like topless, like page 3, like, you know, Glamour, like the
mag,
but the Spanish edition, right? So they flew me out and they were like, we can put you up in this hotel, and I was like, well, actually I could just stay with the people that I used to live with and stay for a week by myself, and like a little bit, I don't know, just because I'd like moved home, it would just be like I would really feel like it would be a holiday. So there was like this festival on called the Corona Festival, and Disclosure, Maya Jane Coles, like people like that were DJing at this day festival. And the guy that had moved into my room had basically started dating this I can't say that. I was going to say stripper, but you can cut that out. We ended up going back to the apartment, and he was like, he ran a night at SVV, right? So he was like, guys, Disclosure are down at SVV. You should all go down to SVV. And I was like, Campo man, right? If you're wanting to shag this bird, right, you could just tell us to go out the gaff, right? You don't have to make up an elaborate lie like Disclosure at SVV. Like, nobody's at SVV, right? Let it go. But we went, and Disclosure were there with no one else. So it was Disclosure, Nick Grimshaw, who was chewing his face off. He was like, he was like, you really look like my friend Kendall Jenner. Let me phone her. I was like,
no way.
Did you phone her?
No, I ran away.
Imagine.
I was like, why are you name dropping to me? Like, I'm nobody. Like, stop.
That's like the best thing I've ever
That's
heard.
so funny.
But the reason that we were talking is because he was with Jamie Winston, right? And I had this friend who we unfortunately lost. His name was Paul, and he died of cancer, and his name was Tranny Paul. Like, that's what he called himself. He was a drag queen. He was amazing. He was just like full of life and just an amazing character. So he actually was friends with Jamie Winston, and at his funeral we ended up sitting next to each other. So at this funeral in Glasgow, Jamie Winston, do you know who Jamie Winston is?
No.
So Google it.
Googling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I didn't recognise her because she changed her hair or something.
Yeah.
But I recognised her voice. So she was with Nick Dimshaw in Ibiza, and both of us were like, I know you from somewhere. And then I was like, oh my God, we sat next to each other at a funeral. That's when she was like, oh my God, Paul. And we just had this like conversation.
Wow.
But he was with her. So he was like, Kendall. And we were like, we're having a nice conversation.
Kendall.
Anyway, I've got photographs of him trying to chew his eyebrows off. So
I feel like that's just good to have, isn't it, for any situation? Just be able to get that out.
Just for legal reasons.
Just in case you ever want to go on BBC One's breakfast show.
No, never. He's not on breakfast anymore. I actually think he's great.
Yeah.
I like him on Gogglebox.
Yeah. He's with his niece, isn't he, on there?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So
he is funny.
So good.
So, well, obviously this year's been a little bit of a write-off, but are the things that you've spoken about that you were doing this year, they transfer into next year? Like, what does next year look like for you?
Yeah, everything's pretty... Man, guys, I'm just lucky that I have an amazing team, and I'm lucky to have been given Rinse. We can finish that conversation off now as well. Yeah. Let's round that off. Genius asked me to come in and meet him, and we met for a coffee, and he obviously, he's the founder of Rinse. Yeah. So when I screenshotted that message to Jim, he was like, Genius's message to himself, like, what the hell? So I didn't think anything of it. Met him, we chatted. He asked about my story, just asked like about my opinions on things, and we just had a chat. He was telling me that he manages KTB and stuff, and I was like, well, I have a manager, I have a team, like, and he was totally cool with it. I think he was just like telling me about like what he did, and then he would like let me go into the studio and record. Little did I know that was never planned. I don't know what his plan was. I don't know if he knew that he was going to give me a weekly show before. I doubt it. I don't know what happened. But what happened was Emily phoned me a couple of days after. She runs the studio, and she was just like, hey, so I have a question. Do you want to be a weekly radio? I was just like, a weekly show? Like, what are you talking about? Like, does anyone even have a weekly show apart from Ben UFO, and then obviously Joshua as well, who's like an XOYO resident. He's wicked.
Yeah.
And I was actually so nervous when Genius first asked me, because I had obviously just moved to London fairly recently, and Joshua had actually, we'd ended up speaking and meeting for a coffee, and I was like, oh my God, you have a weekly show on Vince, like that's insane. And then by no, like this was not coming from me. I didn't ask for a weekly show, but I kind of felt really self-conscious in case, oh God, I hope that he's not thought that I've met him and then I'm like being a snake and trying to like, do you know, like trying to work out.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually ended up like building up the courage to text him that, being like, by the way, this is what happened, and I'm like, it was no fault of my own, but obviously I have to say yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it happened, and that's been like the most insane blessing, because I think it's helped me stay engaged. If anything, maybe, I don't know, like I feel like the show's done really well, and like it's going from like strength to strength. Like we had Sama on like 2 weeks ago. She is like one of my idols. Like I don't know if you know who she is, because to be honest, see when I was like before Boiler Room and stuff, when I was still figuring out who I was, I just didn't pay attention to like what anyone else was doing, and it wasn't out of like ignorance or like, I just had to like figure out myself. So I didn't really have my finger on the pulse with like who was cool, and like even what we were talking about earlier about like supporters, and like when Seinfeld, like I knew his music, but I didn't know who it was. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now, because we've connected, like I know obviously who he is, and I could tell you like out of a crowd what he looks like. Whereas I didn't have my finger on the pulse like that before. So Ben Turner that runs Graphite, he looks after like Pete Tong and runs IMS. Yeah. He's another really early supporter of mine, which is insane. Yeah. He booked me for IMS, which is obviously, like I used to run up Dalt Vila when I was like living in Ibiza. That was like my route. Yeah, like I ran up the castle.
That's surreal to them.
So and it was, I have this really weird thing with the sky. Like, I don't know if you are the same. I'm dead spiritual, like, and I really believe in like stupid, like, and by the way, people that are like angry about like horoscopes and people that are spiritual, it's the least harmful thing in the world. Please calm down. Like, if it helps me get through my day, please.
I believe in. Me and Pippa talk on our drives about like manifesting.
Yeah, I was interested
the list I've written and everything.
Can I be added into your group chat then?
Yes, let's manifest everything.
Yeah, I believe in that. I think it's I love horoscopes and like all of that. I just think it's great.
Yeah. Have you got the app? Have you got the app called The Pattern?
Yes. Oh my God, it's insane.
I've just got that co-star one.
It's been a bit awkward actually, because the pattern, obviously you put in your birthday details, don't you, and then it says like how much of a match you are technically, and I did it with one of my friends and it came up that it was like we're very different people, and we were both like, oh, that's not the outcome we wanted. But we are very different people, but in the best sort of way, when you've got like an opposite friend that like
totally.
What horoscope are you?
Cancer.
Oh, nice. I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
I used to go out with a girl. Yes, there's another thing that people are very shocked by. I remember saying that, and like in a studio being like, "Oh, I used to go out with her," and they were like, "What?" Like, yeah. No, but I used to go out with this girl, and she was an Aquarius, and oh my God,
was she mental?
How is that?
Yeah.
Well, for someone who like, she's like, it's very hard to work. Like, I like to work people out, and like, I like to know what people are thinking, and I'm quite insecure and need like reassured and stuff. And like, Aquariuses, like, I don't know, in my experience, are in their own shit.
Yeah, that's like I've seen that before, and I don't think that's me. They're like emotionally detached, and I'm like, really? Is that meant to be me? Because I feel like I'm almost too emotional about everything.
But like, she talks shit about cancers anyway. She says she says that we're like manipulative. Like, cancers are manipulative. Which, by the way, my aunt and my mum are both cancers. and we're so different. Oh my God, if I was anything like them, I would be laughing. Like, they are like angels. Like, they are actual angels. I never believed in any of it because I was just like, I am nothing like them. But when I started to understand like my rising and like all of the other things, it made way more sense.
Yeah, it can literally change from the time that you're born, can't it? Like, you can be completely different people even though that you're the same sign.
I hated when they announced the other week, well, the other month now,
God.
that they were I knew you both are kicking off before I even said it.
I went from a Taurus to an Aries. I was like, that's not even
Capricorn.
Me. No, I think it should just be from anyone that's born from now.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the law.
And that is it. That's final.
That's so Taurus of me because Taurus are really stubborn.
So structured. I have so many Tauruses in my life.
Yeah. So when's your birthday? When's Taurus?
27th of April.
So
just a Taurus.
It's a bit of May as well.
Okay. No, I've got a lot of Tauruses in my life then. So
yeah. I feel like the Taurus is the structure
loyal,
that you need. Though.
Yeah.
So loyal.
But see, loyalty to me is like the biggest thing ever. Like, we can't be friends if you're not loyal.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's my only thing. Like, if you like talk shit about other people, or if you talk shit about me, or if you don't have a view about something and you're not loyal to that view, people can change and opinions can evolve and blah, blah, but
you can't be a flip flop.
No, like that's like my number one thing.
Yeah, like, I agree. Life. I'm like pick a lane.
Yeah.
No,
I
pick a fucking lane.
Yeah.
That is what I say. I like pick a lane.
Yeah.
That's all the time. You're probably like pick a lane. This conversation has been so all over the show.
We actually had notes and we've just not gone through the notes all. It's been fun.
No,
this
has
been a great podcast episode. I feel like
not invite a chatty sponsored person that's had 3 coffees.
We say this every time, but our fear is we get someone who doesn't want to talk.
And
you know what I mean?
Like,
and we're just like dragging things out of them.
Just don't do a bloody podcast.
Yeah.
Surely.
To be fair,
we've had some really good luck so far. Yeah.
Good.
So next year.
Are you going to be doing your Italian residency?
Hopefully. It's
Blasto.
weird because in Italy, like you need like a different agent to be able to operate.
Oh, really?
They are. It's like mafia. They're like, no, we run this. No, we run this. Yeah. So luckily, I have an amazing. I have an amazing agent called Alex. He is the one that booked me for Circoloco. So he's basically running Circoloco as well.
Yeah.
He's doing all of the programming for it. So he looks after like Seth and loads of different people in Italy. So hopefully that's still going ahead. I've been booked for IMS again, which is insane.
Which Skiddle is sponsoring actually. So we'll see you there.
Oh my God, I swear to God, this year I was going to play IMS and then Circoloco on the Monday. So I had the gig at the castle on the Friday and then actually playing Circoloco again on the Monday, which is rare for 2 promoters to agree for that to happen. So I was going to go out for a week and like rent a villa, have all of my God.
Well, next year it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Oh guys, I so hope we get to meet one day.
We will.
This will be ace.
Skiddle was planning a whole big trip over to Ibiza.
Okay,
but
good. Good.
I have to say, I've been following you for a while now, like because so this is great. This is like amazing for me. Yeah. But like I always like steal the songs off like your Rinse FM. Your Instagram lives that you post, and I'm like, me and my two like closest friends who like love going out. We like send each other tunes and stuff. Like we've got a little group chat for it, and I always steal the ones off your Rinse FM list and just be like,
that is the biggest compliment ever. Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Watching
at
you
Glasgow as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I hope I live up to your expectations.
No, you will. I've watched The Boiler Room, so
Just
yeah,
as long
you
as
will.
the speaker doesn't go off, then we'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as no one's pulling out the cables.
Yeah.
Well, do you know, I'll send you the EP that's out on Friday as well. Let me, ping me your emails and I'll, or are we in that thread?
Yeah,
I'll ping it over.
Yeah.
Because Ketama's done the remix and it's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
Oh, amazing.
Well, before we stop, we have a question that we've asked everyone, all our guests. So if you could go out anywhere with anyone, who and where would it be? Like, COVID doesn't exist as well, so like you've got actually you can pick dead or alive people as well.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
Stop.
so the way is
Question.
endless for this. Almost too much choice.
God. There's way too much choice, but I would go with. Oh, this is so hard. I would go with Frankie Knuckles to DC
Oh, that is a great shout.
Or I would go with. Oh, I don't know. I take it back. I'm gonna stick with that one.
That
I take it back.
Frankie Knuckles, I absolutely love.
Frankie
That's a
Knuckles.
great
That's
answer.
an epic one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick his brain.
Yeah. Oh, great answer.
Well, thanks so much.
I've got a gift. Right, this is. Can we say goodbye and then I've got a gift?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. We love chatting to you.
This has been
and
amazing.
Yeah, we're super excited to see what you do.
Yeah.
Next year,
Thanks, guys.
And well done for smashing the
Passionate girl.
Rinse FM.
I haven't
show.
smashed it, but
You have.
hopefully I will.
You really will.
I think we've got a question from Rich over the headphones.
Yeah, Rich, what are you saying? We've got. I'll ask you in a minute. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you, Lala.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Going Out podcast with Skiddle. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you hear this podcast. Thank you.